Reporting audit findings and recommendations to management and stakeholders is a critical aspect of the audit process, as it facilitates transparency, accountability, and informed decision-making. Here's how to effectively report audit findings and recommendations. Understand reporting objectives. Clarify the objectives, scope, and purpose of the audit report, including the intended audience, timing, and format of reporting. Ensure alignment with auditing standards, regulatory requirements, and organizational policies governing audit reporting. Organize audit report structure. Structure the audit report in a logical and organized manner, following a standardized format that includes key sections such as executive summary, background, objectives, scope, methodology, findings, conclusions, and recommendations. Use headings, subheadings, bullet points, and numbering to improve readability and navigation within the report. Provide context and background. Provide context and background information on the audit engagement, including the purpose, scope, objectives, and methodology used. Summarize relevant audit planning activities, risk assessments, and key considerations that inform the audit approach. Present audit findings clearly. Present audit findings, observations, and conclusions clearly, concisely, and objectively, using factual evidence, documentation, and supporting data. Clearly articulate the nature, extent, and significance of identified issues, deviations, deficiencies, weaknesses, or non-compliance with standards or policies. Quantify and prioritize findings. Quantify the impact, frequency, and severity of audit findings using metrics, benchmarks, or risk ratings to provide context and prioritize corrective actions. Differentiate between material and immaterial findings based on their significance to the organization's operations, financial reporting, and compliance obligations. Provide root cause analysis. Conduct root cause analysis to identify underlying factors, systemic issues, and contributing factors that led to the occurrence of audit findings. Explain the factors that contributed to the identified deficiencies or deviations and assess their impact on organizational performance and objectives. Offer practical recommendations. Provide actionable and practical recommendations for addressing identified deficiencies, mitigating risks, improving internal controls, and enhancing organizational effectiveness. Tailor recommendations to specific findings, taking into account the organization's resources, capabilities, and strategic priorities. Include management responses. Include management responses, comments, or action plans addressing each audit finding and recommendation. Document management's agreement or disagreement with audit findings, proposed corrective actions, and timelines for implementation. Highlight positive findings and best practices. Highlight positive findings, best practices, and areas of strength identified during the audit process to acknowledge areas of excellence and reinforce positive behaviors. Provide examples of effective controls, processes, or initiatives that can serve as benchmarks for improvement in other areas. Emphasize transparency and objectivity. Emphasize transparency, objectivity, and independence in the audit report, avoiding bias, subjective judgments, or personal opinions. Present findings and recommendations in a fair, balanced, and impartial manner, focusing on facts, evidence, and professional judgment. Follow up on recommendations. Follow up on management's implementation of audit recommendations to monitor progress, track remediation efforts, and verify the effectiveness of corrective actions. Provide feedback and updates on the status of recommendations in subsequent audit reports or communications to stakeholders. By following these guidelines, auditors can effectively communicate audit findings and recommendations to management and stakeholders, promote accountability, and drive continuous improvement within the organization.